Namaste. My name is Abraham Varghese, and I am here to answer a question on behalf of B-GHUD. In fact, it is taken from the IELTS book, which is what I'm referring to, and it's here. You can see it is actually available at B-GHUD. Now, let me just explain to you a bit briefly that I'm an ex-barrister and I've lived in London for 45 years. During some time of that, I practiced as a barrister, and I carry that very impressionable experience with me, particularly because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the idea of justice, and to me, matters of that kind, principles of that kind, have remained all the time as necessarily outstanding as being necessary for people who are going to set an example in life. Now, that is, of course, my personal view, but let's get on to the question. The question is, people in all modern societies use drugs, but today's youth are experimenting with both legal and illegal drugs, and at an increasingly early age. Some sociologists claim that parents and other members of society often set a bad example. Discuss the causes and some effects of widespread drug use by young people today. Make any recommendations you feel that are necessary to help fight drug abuse. There is a reference to all modern societies. What do they mean by all modern societies? Are they talking about just the advanced societies? Or are they talking about, when they talk about advanced societies or modern societies, are they referring to a standard of living? Are all societies not modern today? They are indeed. And they are modern relative to each other and relative to their particular environment and conditions. Now, having said that, we are really being put to the test on whether the drugs are considered part of one's medicines, or whether they are drugs that are illegal. And that if there are drugs that are illegal, then of course the relevance of using them at an early age is very significant, which is what the question says. And again, there are views expressed about some sociologists say that the parents and other members of society often set a bad example. Well, that is again a very relative question, or statement, in fact, and we must understand that setting a bad example is not a deliberate act by many. It is generally the peer group that sets a bad example. When they set a bad example, does it mean, let us say we are talking about parents, does it mean that the parents set a bad example because they fight or disagree with each other? Because one drinks and one does not drink? Because one smokes and one does not smoke? Well, maybe, and why not? That may be true, but that doesn't qualify one to justify one's own behavior. I am sure those who drink, in fact, those mainly who smoke, are more keen to tell their youngsters, their children in particular, please don't get into this habit, it's dreadful, it does you no particular good. And I can say that as an example myself. So, yes, they can set a bad example because you feel justified if your father can do it, you're old enough now and earning your own money, and therefore you can do it. Well, that is hardly justice. That's hardly justice to yourself, and not a very good reason either. But that also puts us to the forefront of thinking that it is important, it is very important for society and for parents to actually give significant advice to our youngsters about the abuse of anything that is illegal or that might cause harm or damage to you. So there is that very much prevalent in most societies. And we must also understand that in modern societies, or so-called modern societies, The reason why these habits grow very easily is because of the availability of money, easy money. Otherwise, where people don't have easy money and are hooked onto this particular habit, then they go and conduct illegal activities. The availability of money very often means that your parents are rich and therefore you are idle. You don't know what to do with your time. You have not been set a good example, or you have been given little quality time by your parents, who have let you loose in a way and think that by giving you money or making money available to you, they are pampering you and giving you a free reign of your life. What you are doing is effectively not realizing the consequences and going ahead to destroy it by abusing the use of monies for matters that are not necessary for you and in fact are damn sight harmful to you. Now, the reason why often people go to take drugs or to conduct anything that is not legal or that is harmful to them is A, boredom, B, as I mentioned earlier, excess of monies or available monies, C is, let's say, style. You are challenging your peer groups and you join your peer group, and you feel that you must belong to them, and there are a lot that take drugs or smoke or drink or whatever else, and you feel that unless you do the same, you will not belong there, and you feel that belonging to them is more important than the damage or the consequences of developing a poor habit. And then there are, of course, the idea of style, which are often advertised, and to talk about how to look, when smoking a cigarette, and also there are movies and serials that teach you about all the activities that goes on with drugs. The activities that are prominent in it are the fact that once you have drugs, just like in many ways with alcohol, you feel loose, your tongue is loose, and you feel relaxed, and you quickly can end up in a relationship, having sex openly and or even privately, but having sex at a time when you really are not fully aware of what the consequences are. Now, of course, if you are over the age of 18, it's entirely your business, but even at the age of 18, you must be able to realize that you're still not experienced, you're still not old enough to have decided these matters for yourself. At least you could decide it, but ensure that others are there to give you some supportive evidence or some support to ensure that the values that you're taking up or the behavior that you're taking up is actually worth it. So one has got to be very careful about it and must realize that, you see, when you do not have the difficulties of accessing monies, and time is a difficult period to expend during the day or night, or boredom hits you very quickly, the answer can be found in so many other ways. There are numerous ways. For example, playing cards, going and playing games, watching television to some degree, socializing in a decent manner, going to a restaurant and looking after yourself or entertaining somebody, rather than spending your time hiding away and smoking a cigarette, hiding away and having drugs and so on. All right. To fight this difficulty, it is very important to remember that there are institutions, there are hospitals, there are numerous facilities in society where there are treatments available that can clean people out and bring them back into the normality of life, so that they continue to be, or they can be, useful citizens in the progress of life and society. Thank you very much. Namaste.